a ring is a team accomplishment.
Right.
And if you happen to have a moment where you're able to share that with your team, that should be discussed. This team was the greatest team, okay? Or that team, you can have those conversations.
Then I would have said, LeBron, why did you leave Cleveland and go to Miami?
Rob Parker didn't even last 10 seconds before he snapped. The second LeBron dropped his take on ring culture, Rob went off like somebody unplugged his filter. The rant was so raw, you'd think the studio was hovering over the cut his mic button just in case. But here's the twist that had everybody doing a double take. Rob wasn't reacting to a play, a game, or some wild highlight. He was reacting to LeBron's words. One single clip from LeBron's own show, Mind the Game, flipped Rob's mood instantly. LeBron called ring culture weird, and that tiny word set off alarms for a whole lot of fans too. And honestly, you can see why. It didn't just sound bold, it sounded straight up contradictory once you look at LeBron's whole history with chasing titles. That's why the moment hit nerves like a shockwave. To really get why the internet blew up, you gotta understand this wasn't just Rob Parker yelling for entertainment. This was about LeBron trying to tweak how people view his legacy right in front of everyone. That weird comment about rings wasn't random. That's where the spark hit the gas.
Rings! Cleveland! You're the one who did it! You're the one who ran away! You're the one who put together a super team so that you could win rings! You were the one who were afraid not to win a championship, as great as you were as a player.
On the episode, LeBron casually started questioning why the league is so obsessed with championships, saying stuff like, "I don't know why it's discussed so much in our sport. It's just weird to me." He even brought up legends like Allen Iverson, Charles Barkley, and Steve Nash, saying they shouldn't be dismissed just because they didn't win titles. And on paper, yeah, that sounds fair. Iverson shifted the whole culture. Barkley was a powerhouse. Nash grabbed 2 MVPs. Nobody's denying their greatness. But that's not what made fans explode. What set people off was the fact that LeBron was the one saying it, the same guy who built a huge part of his story around rings, the same guy known for switching teams to chase the biggest stages, because let's keep it real. LeBron himself made championships a major part of his identity. He left Cleveland to stack trophies in Miami. That's why hearing him call ring culture weird threw people off like, bro, really? He stood there hyping up the whole world with that famous promise, not 1, not 2, not 3. He bounced back to Cleveland to finish the redemption story with a championship, then dipped to LA to build another superstar setup and grabbed another one. So now when LeBron suddenly acts like rings aren't that deep, man, that's when everything starts feeling real suspicious. Rob Parker wasn't letting that slide for even a millisecond. But before we get into his full-on eruption, we gotta look at how LeBron has used rings to push that GOAT talk for years, especially after the moment that flipped the entire league on its head.
It started, it's just, it's a long conversation, especially when it comes to me individually. It's just so weird, it's so.
We're going straight back to 2016, Game 7, the block, the comeback. LeBron dragged Cleveland past a 73-win squad and delivered the city its first championship in 52 years. That performance still lives rent-free in NBA history. It was cold. Then right after the game, LeBron sat in front of the cameras and dropped a quote that froze the whole sports world. He said, "That one right there made me the greatest player of all time." Not one of the greatest. He called himself the greatest. And what was he pointing at? A championship, a ring. He straight up connected his GOAT status to that trophy so clearly that nobody could pretend they misunderstood him. He wasn't talking scoring titles, playmaking, or longevity. He pointed right at that ring like that was his golden ticket. So now in 2025, when LeBron suddenly says ring culture is weird, Rob Parker, and honestly millions of fans watching from home, instantly remembered that moment. Because you can't crown yourself the greatest because of one ring, then years later act like rings don't matter at all. That flip-flop is exactly what triggered the next chapter in this chaos. Rob Parker's rant didn't just get loud, it became legendary. Rob is always known for spicy takes, but what he unleashed on The Odd Couple on Fox Sports Radio went way beyond a normal debate. It was a full-blown eruption. The moment LeBron's quote popped up, Rob didn't hesitate. He went off. Rob Parker came back swinging with zero hesitation. He hit LeBron with lines like, "You are the one who left Cleveland to chase rings. You are the one who said, not 1, not 2, not 3. You are the one teaming up with stars every time you want another shot at a title. He even called LeBron phony and said he was done with all the excuses. And then came the punch that really stung. Rob said LeBron is trying to rewrite the whole conversation because he knows he can't reach Jordan's 6 rings. That shot landed hard. You can't chase titles for over a decade and then suddenly act like championships don't mean anything.
Listen to this.
Not 6.
Is he talking
not
about
7.
being a great
And when
player?
I say that,
He's
I
talking
really
about
believe it.
winning rings, because that's what he wanted to win. Such a phony. I'm so tired of hearing this.
Rob wasn't just yelling. He was tearing apart LeBron's whole career blueprint step by step. He pointed straight at every major move LeBron ever made. Miami, title hunt, Cleveland return, championship mission, LA move, another attempt at building a powerhouse squad. Rob even joked about LeBron's old talk about winning 7 titles, then dropped the coldest question of the whole rant. If LeBron had 8 or 10 rings, do you really think he'd be saying this? And honestly, everyone knows the answer is no, but the real twist is why LeBron is switching up now. And that takes us right to what he's trying to protect, the longevity angle and all its limits. At this point, LeBron understands one reality he can't change. He's not catching Jordan in championships. He's got 4. Jordan sits at 6. And with the Lakers aging and inconsistent, ring number 5 is looking shaky. So what does LeBron lean on now? Longevity. He's pushing the idea that staying elite into his 40s puts him in his own category. He talks about the body maintenance, the diet, the recovery routines, the discipline, and the numbers are wild, and most stars fade in their mid-30s, and this man is still giving teams 25 a night at age 40. But here's the twist. Longevity isn't the same thing as dominance.
Right there made me the greatest player of all time. That's what I felt.
When people debate the greatest ever, they don't ask who lasted the longest. They ask who ruled their era. People don't argue about who lasted the longest. They care about who ruled the hardest. Fans want to know who dominated, who stacked the wins, who walked away with more trophies. So if LeBron knows he's behind in rings and feels that GOAT narrative slipping through his fingers, then suddenly this whole ring culture is weird thing starts looking less like an honest opinion and more like a strategy. Almost like he's trying to tweak the rules right before the buzzer hits. And changing the rules after the game is already over doesn't sound clever. It sounds shady. And fans aren't buying it for even 1 second. Here's why so many people feel like they're being played with that comment. Nobody is denying Charles Barkley or Steve Nash were legendary. Those dudes were incredible. But when you're talking about the greatest ever, top 5, top 10, those tiny details start to matter a lot. MVPs count, All-NBA selections count, finals runs count, and yes, championships count. Rings are part of the scoreboard in every sport, not just basketball. Tom Brady is the GOAT in football because he walked out with 7. Serena's got a stack of titles, Tiger's got trophies, Phelps has medals. That's how greatness gets measured everywhere. So when LeBron, of all people, steps up and says it's weird to care about rings, fans feel like they're getting played, especially because his whole identity for 2 decades was built on proving he could win when it mattered most.
Down. So on the attack, close to the goal, left-handed, lays it in. Puts up the great. Smith, alley-oop to James! Wow!
Think about it. If rings don't matter, then why leave Cleveland the first time? Why link up with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh? Why move to LA and bring in Anthony Davis? It's like spending 20 years trying to run up the scoreboard and then suddenly acting like the scoreboard ain't the point. And that leads to the tough truth behind all this. LeBron probably didn't mean to expose himself like that, but his whole championship story is starting to loop back on him in a way he didn't expect. LeBron kicked off a battle he can't win because you can't flip the script whenever it fits your situation. Back in 2012, rings were everything. In 2016, he said that 1 ring made him the greatest ever. And now in 2025, rings suddenly don't matter? That kind of switch up doesn't just hurt credibility, it drags every old debate back out of the closet like nothing was ever settled. And this isn't just LeBron versus Jordan anymore. It hits the core of how we judge greatness. If we throw rings out the window, then what's left? Pure stats? Context? Just vibes? At the end of the day, sports is about winning, and championships are the one thing nobody can fake. That's why Dan Marino isn't called the greatest in football. That's why Barkley, Nash, and Iverson, as legendary as they were, sit just one tier below. It's not disrespect, it's the scoreboard. So when LeBron suddenly talks like he never cared about rings, fans don't just get confused, they feel played. Because here's the truth. LeBron James is one of the greatest to ever touch a basketball, and nobody with common sense argues that. But when he calls ring culture weird, he's not just pushing back at the media. He's challenging the same system he used to climb into the history books. And Rob Parker's reaction wasn't just a loud rant. It was the voice of millions who remember everything LeBron used to say and see straight through what he's saying now. The game already happened, the scoreboard is final, and those numbers don't move just because someone wants a different narrative. If you rocked with this breakdown, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and stay locked in for the next one.